February 8, 2006, and this is the beginning of an interview with Doris Richardson in the Historical Society Cottage at the Westbury Memorial Public Library. Mrs. Richardson is 84 years old, having been born on July 24, 1921. My name is Susan Kovarik, and I will be the interviewer. I am representing the Historical Society of the Westburys, an official partner in the Veterans History Project. Mrs. Richardson, would you state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
I was in World War II. I joined the Army. I signed up, enlisted January 1943 for the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, downtown New York. And I received my notice to come to Fort DeMoines, Iowa in March. I was in Fort DeMoines, Iowa, March 1943. A Women's Army Corps. I had put my money in to go to nursing school. I had had some nursing training by a doctor who trained me as I did his housework. He trained me to be a doctor's assistant, and his nurse had trained me how to be a nurse's assistant to the doctors. So I went to Fort Des Moines, Iowa, but during the time I went out there, due to segregation, they wouldn't allow me to work in the hospital. So the training was ad-lib more or less, and we sat around. We had training like the men, and I was there from 43 to 45, and in Fort Benning, Georgia, early part of 44, latter part of 44, early part of 45. The main post hospital asked for help because they needed help there so that they could release the men to go to the other side because we were short of men, and had we not released the men here in the States and otherwise, their job, this country would have lost. So 300 of us were sent down to Fort Benning, Georgia, main post hospital. While there, I did any and every job that the men were doing or wherever I was needed. And Fort Benning, Georgia, and I say this, was health kitchens for Afro-Americans or people of color. And everywhere I went, I was called names, told, get that uniform off because you're disgracing the United States. So one of the officers at the main post hospital was specialized for the veterans, the Army veterans who were sick and who'd come back. She had wanted us to salute her inside the buildings as we went from building to building. We wouldn't do that, so she had us to come into her office and said, salute her. We refused to do it. And the commanding officer of the hospital, major, he was called in, and he told us that we could be sent to Fort Leavenworth. It was 15 of us for disobeying or showing disrespect to an officer. But he said we were doing it for a good cause because she had wanted us to be servants for the white officers, and we were there to work and help and serve the patients. That is what we was for, where we was needed to help patients. Then we, the 15 of us, got into it again. Major Johnson, one of the young Afro-American young men, came and showed us his paycheck because we had a lot of Afro-American civilians working there at the hospital. He showed us his check and he said, this don't seem right. Cigarettes at that time was 15 cents a pack, but the business managers of the civilian workers was charging them like $1 a pack, and he had ripped them off. So we went on strike, which was very much against the Army. And again, Major Johnson was called down. And he said, during this time and what's going on, he said, you will not go to Fort Leavenworth, but don't do it again because that you're going against the rules. He says, but there's no rules to say you can't fight for your own kind, for your own people. So there again, we scored. In the meantime, he said, the next time that officer asks you to salute her inside, outside, which you're not supposed to do, that tell her to put her cap with her officer's medals on them on the desk and salute that cap, because that's the only reason that she got that lieutenant officer's pen was because she was a nurse, and that you women had to go through severe training and everything else to get whatever stripes or bars that you earned. So from there, we had to go through basic training the same as the men. We went under fire, we went through a gas chamber, we had verbal and physical training. While I was out in the training field, we thought the men were using blanks as we were crawling through the red muddy clay on our hands and knees on the barbed wire there in Fort Benning. And one of the officers' caps got caught on the barbed wire. She put her hand up to get her cap, and a bullet split her thumb. So we went back to the post that evening. We went straight. At night, they'd wake us up at 3 or 4 o'clock at night. We had to put on our gas mask and go outside and pretend that we were being attacked and what we should do, how we should do it. So I became ill because when we went to the gas chamber, I inhaled too much of the gas that they were using for the war at that time. And a young lady named Sergeant Mary L. Moody replaced me to go overseas because I was in the hospital for 30 days from the gas poisoning. And I acquired a chronic allergenic condition from that. In the meantime, the doctor said that had they sent me overseas, I would have to come back because of the change of water and food and things. You know, I would be allergic to it. So I stayed. I did the rest of my time at Fort Benning Main Post Hospital, which at the time our girls were being beaten. Uniform tore off them. We were called all kinds of names. And I did my job, otherwise I don't think I would have earned 6 medals. And so I stayed there until they changed the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. Oh, by the way, the Afro-American women and women of color were the first women in the service when President Roosevelt signed in that women should replace men to go to the front. I didn't know it until a year ago that I was among the first 600 women that went in from the Army, that went into the Army. And Fort DeMoines dedicated their post to us, to the black men and women from World War I and World War II. And as I was reading the historical notations of something that President Wilson, who was the president at that time, had said, when his officer let me train these men, black men, to be officers, he says, black people cannot be trained to be officers, they have no intelligence. Now, if you would know animals have intelligence, otherwise you wouldn't be able to train them. So Fort DeMoines dedicated to us, and I went out there July, and they had quite a fair for us, and a few of us, there was some, I have some pictures, but I don't have them with me. Anyway, a few of us was there, and since that time, I got out of the service. When my husband and I got out of the service, I got married. I had a little girl named Brenda. So my husband went overseas. He went to Italy and to Africa. So when I got out, he came home, and his mother, my husband was from Missouri. So we went to Missouri because his mother was ill, and she passed away. So while we were there, we stayed there. And Jefferson City is the capital of Missouri. And we lived there. I lived 3 blocks from the top street called High Street. And on the other side of it was the federal prison of Missouri. And I worked in a hotel for a while, and I was going to school at Lincoln University. And while I was there, there was a school right across the street from where I lived, but my daughter couldn't go there because she was black and the school was white. So we sent her to Catholic school, which was 2 blocks away. And We stayed there for a while, then we returned to New York. So my girlfriend Mary Willis, who was in the Army with me, she said, Doris, come to Long Island because they have a lot of construction work, and my husband could get a job in construction work, and you being in a hospital, there's plenty of hospitals around that you can work into. So we returned to New York, and we lived in the city for a while, then we moved to Long Island, and there was middle part of 53, something like that. Anyway, I while I was in Jefferson City, just before we returned to New York, I was going to go to Jacksonville, Florida to spend the holiday with my family because I'm from Florida originally. So I caught the train in Jefferson City. When we got to St. Louis, we had to get off the train, get the bus, and go up to Indiana because it was all flooded through there where the train had to go. So we went to Indiana, got on the bus, and I was sitting where black people supposed to sit. And as we went down the road, and we went down to Nashville, Tennessee, a lady came out the woods, a white lady came out the woods and got on the bus with a live chicken under her hand and barefoot. And she got on the bus and she said to the bus driver, make that nigger get up and give me her seat. And the bus driver said, I'm sorry, but her ticket don't say black or white. And the only thing that saved them from throwing me off the bus, she tried to agitate the people to throw me off the bus as we were crossing the Nashville, Tennessee bridge, and the water was running across the bridge. The only thing that saved me was a nun and the bus driver. And so she harassed me all the way until she got off. Then when I got to Florida, the KKK wanted to take over. So the police said no. And I happened to get to Florida, and I stayed there for a couple years. So as far as I know, I was the first black person in Jacksonville, Florida, to work at a white nursing home in the capacity of a nurse. And I stayed there for a while, so my husband was in New York, in Missouri. So when he left there and came on over to Florida, we returned to New York. We came out to Long Island. I worked at Mercy Hospital, and he worked at Local 66 construction outfit. From 1953, I'm still here. So I got involved with the school system. I was working as a teacher's aide. I went to Long Island Jewish Hospital, and I took the test for my nurse's paper because I never did get them. And they said that I didn't need the training because I had had that amount of training and some in the Army. All I needed was to do is to catch up with the latest paperwork and for nurses and things, which I didn't do because I got involved knowing that young children under 18 years of age was going to jail through the adult court, and they didn't have an advocator. So I went to Del Prairie University to become an advocator for young people that was in the court. And while I was there, I was working in the school system, and I assisted young people who came up from other countries, from other states, to find rooms. I helped them. I gave my home, my husband, and I gave them a room to say my daughter had gotten married, was living in Washington, after she went to, oh yes, I didn't say about my daughter who grew up. She went to AT&T College with Jesse Jackson was her classmate. She used to type his notes and things. She worked with him and Reverend Martin Luther King and Reverend Abernathy. And when they had the sit-ins in Greensboro, the girls went down. They sat in. My daughter was among them. So Reverend Abernathy called me and told me, "Don't worry, they're treating them okay." So I felt pretty good in a way that my daughter was following my footsteps, because I feel like everybody has a job to do here. And being black, I have been subjected to segregation all my life, especially being in the South, and I know what the KKK and all the others can do for you, because I've seen them do some horrible things. And what's going on today, it's not religion. There's nothing in nobody's Bible or Quran that says kill them. because they don't believe what you believe. It's power and money. So getting back to my being at Long Island, I worked at Park Avenue School, Westbury Park Avenue School, with a special class. And I got involved with a lot of things. I was so busy running, doing things that I wasn't aware that I was going to be honored. I received citation from the state of Iowa for being among the first women. I received a letter of honorary letter from Hofstra University for having spoken to students from Smithtown and students from Roosevelt Field about what went on during the time I went in the Army, how I was treated, what was said and done. And I received a citation from the State Assembly of New York from Assemblywoman Eddington for having given my time into service and gone through what we went through. So I'm jumping from thing to thing, so I hope you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. In 1976, it was about 25 of us that went to Hampton, Virginia, one of the girls I was in service with. And we decided that we would have a reunion every 2 years. And we went from Hampton, Virginia to Texas, California, all those places, to let them know that we were a part of the Army and we were part of the women who released, like our Tuskegee Airmen, the 369th, the 103rd, to get in there. And this, I must say, and I know I won't ever meet this general, but I know while I was in the office at Fort Benning, I recall the message come over the thing to our officer, Lieutenant Mayo, that the Holocaust is a true thing. We saw the pictures of the people stuffed into warehouses like fish, and they were dead. No, those that were alive was taken out. But the 369s and 103 and several Fort Benning 25th Infantry, this general said, send me some more men, I'm short of men. So they sent some of those men over there, and they went in there and got those people out, the 369. And the Tuskegee Airmen made 158 flights, guarding the planes to fly in there, fly out, and never lost one plane. So this general said, send me some more niggas, because they know how to get in and get out of there. If they would just study the culture of everybody, they'd find out what they can do, what can't do. We have, as a African people, we have contributed greatly to this country. Still today, we're looked down upon as second-class citizens. It just don't make any sense. And I feel like I need to tell the young people, as the young lady professor at Hofstra University said, that my employing of myself, of what I've gone through before the Army and after and during the time, was to let them know that things are not the way they are today, and that they should learn not to dislike people, not because of the color of their skin or the language they speak. Dislike a person if you got to dislike because of the way they treat you, not by the color of the language. And I try to teach that to all the kids. But unfortunately, I'm not able to get around anymore because I fell and got hurt. So I'm still being ripped off, and I feel like this. I'm hoping that we will get more leaders like Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King, who passed away recently, to help us let people see that we are all human, we have the same color of blood, and we're all striving for the same thing, to get along with one another no matter who. If you can't get along with them, you go your way, they go theirs. And live and let live. Care about each other, because if we don't, we're going to destroy each other, and there's not going to be anything. Hopefully, this country will remain America, as the politicians, some of them, are trying to change in other countries, trying to change this country to a bilingual country. I hope not, because if they change it to bilingual, this is not America anymore. All the freedom of what we have to do, to live where you want, to get the kind of job you want, to go to school and be what you want to be, cannot be, because any country who has the most immigrants can come in and take over. And that's not what the original people who came here. After the first original people who came here, they took away the other part of my family, which I'm Afro-Native American. My family's people were Indian, and my father's people from Madagascar. They were free. Madagascar is still, I think, it's the only country, African country, that's still free with nobody to tell them what to do and what to do. So they ended up in Savannah, Georgia. And part of my mother's people, Blackfoot Seminoles, went to Savannah and hid out when they were making the Indians move from Florida and all the other parts out west. So when it was all over, my mother married my father, went to Atlanta, and from Atlanta went to Jacksonville and to Haines City. So they lived there. She had 9 children. So then we were back and forth. My father worked for the highway department, and my mother was a seamstress and a laundress woman and a seamstress. In those days, a black woman could only be a seamstress or a laundress with someone. And I'm so glad she taught me. There's a poem, there's a prayer that is called Reflections. And it says, I pray for God to give me strength, but He gave me people to help. I pray for God to love, but He gave me people to work with that I loved and cared about. And there's more to it, but I'm glad that she taught us that, because it helped me to see life and not to be bitter against others. I am not bitter, but I am very upset that this country is going the way it's going by people who are ugly against one another, and it's not right. And I hope and pray before I close my eyes that I can help some child or children to see that it is not fair to dislike someone because someone say dislike them because of the color of their skin. It is not right, because there's nothing in nobody's Quran or Bible that say you should hate anyone because they're different than you. When God separated the people behind the wall of Jericho, He sent them north, east, south, and west, but He showed them how to get back together, to trade with one another, and to do it. He didn't change us because He wanted us to hate each other. It was a matter of being able to talk to one another in a different language, but to understand one another. Show this one what you could do. And I feel like it's terrible that this country is allowing people to come in here and spoil it for those who are obeying the law and doing what they're supposed to do. All the young men and women, all the race and color, are now losing their lives. I thought the World War II was going to be the end. But they're losing their lives and getting hurt and injured for what? I'm hoping and praying that this will not happen to the United States before I close my eyes, and there won't be no more to do. And as I sit here and I think about it, I'm hoping that my old age will help me get out here and try to teach these young people, to tell them that age, because you're old, you don't belong in a nursing home. When I was a little girl, they would have it. But we were taught to care for our older people or anyone who was sick in our families, to help them. These young people today, they don't want to be bothered. All they want is the big money. And as I explained to them when I was talking to them at Hofstra University, I worked after school from the time I was 11 years old till I was in my teens in Florida, for 1 hour a week babysitting all week long. And I came to New York to study, to make a little more money to go to nursing school. And I was a nanny for a young little girl because her mother was ill and couldn't take her to the store, to the park, for $50 a month. I washed, I ironed, I cooked, I combed, I did everything. And I worked 75 cents an hour doing days work, sitting right behind out cold windows with cold winter time. And hurting. I walked the snow knee deep to get to the subway to get home. So don't complain that it's $7 an hour is not enough. Don't complain because you're doing well. Do what you can do to help somebody. Look around and see what good you can do. Whatever it is that you take up, whatever you decide to be that and be as good as you can be. But in the meantime, look at other people as you look upon yourself. Treat other people as you want to be treated. Care about other people. Stop this nonsense of hatred, because there's no room for hatred in this world. We'll destroy each other and everything if we continue that. So I don't know what else to say unless the lady will ask me something else.
Okay, you decided to go into the service because you were studying as a nurse, you said, and
the reason I went into service was because I saw what they said that they needed the men to replace them, and my wanting to be a nurse and what little training I'd had, I thought I could do some good and yet release enough of our men, because our men was just in the background like service company. You know, they were not on the front lines. And they released them, and by them releasing them out there in the war area, we lost some, but they came through and they saved the country and saved the war for us. So when I went down to 28th Street, I think it was in the city, it was 15, I was working in a factory, I was making army military uniforms, and all around the ceiling of the wall was the nationalities, everybody but Afro-Americans, to say, join up, join up. And so 15 of us went downtown, and they treated us very good. I took the written test, and I passed. A couple of weeks later, I took the physical, and they said, okay, you're okay. So then they sent me in February, they sent me a letter to be ready to go out and to go to Fort DeMoines for training. And while I was out there, the ladies that were responsible to help President Roosevelt decide to let women go in and release the men was Colonel Vita Harvey, Mrs. Roosevelt, and Miss Mary Bethune-Cookman. And they went around to the black colleges and got the women that they could have to be officers. They were trained in Fort DeMoines in the city with the white officers, but they didn't live with them. We were all segregated on the post. And every time we went any place, we had to go where it was black, no white. And it's sad that we have gone through all of this, and now our youngsters are going through what they're going through. They shouldn't be. This world is not supposed to have that kind of business of young people losing their lives before they learn how to live. So I say to the young people, stop disliking. Say a kind word to someone even if you don't know them. Try to be nice to each other. Live and let live. Care about each other. Do for each other. Stop all the hatred and make this a better place to live. What else?
so you have stayed in contact with some of the people you met in the service over the years, I understand.
Yes, I have. Yeah. The few that left, it was, I know, there was about 40 or 50 of us at Fort DeMoines, and I kept in contact with her. We just lost one recently. She passed away. But I keep in touch with some of the young women who was in there, who went into the Vietnam War, that lives in Suffolk County. As far as I know, in Westbury and in Nassau County, I don't know of any other young people that was in, young or older, who was in Vietnam War or World War II. It seems like I'm the only one right now. So, just like the citation I received from the state of New York. I don't know for sure, but I think I'm the first one that was ever given a citation like that, first Afro-American, Afro-Native American, I have to say, because I belong to both of them. So I joined because I felt I could be of some help. And remembering what my mother taught me, wherever you need it, if you can be of help, get in there and help. And that's what I did, because I felt that after they said that they were short of men and that we were going to lose the war, Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese. And it's so long. The Japanese are teaching their children that we bombed them first. We did not bomb them first. It's sad that they had to use the atomic bomb to stop them, but that was the only way they could do that, to stop the war, and the Japanese and the Germans, because they were set to destroy America at that time, because America was a country that they didn't like because of our freedom, our choice of living where we want to live, going to school being what we want to be, and they didn't like that. So I'm hoping that that will get straightened out too, that these children will know that Japan was the one that put us into the war like we did, like we were put into it, because they bombed Pearl Harbor without provocation. While one of their spokesmen was in Washington talking peace, they bombed Pearl Harbor, and now they're teaching, which is wrong. Now they're teaching their children that we bombed them first. We did not bomb them first. They bombed us. They had a pact with Germany that whoever got in there and won, they would share whatever it was, just like the Berlin Wall. They should know from history, which they, oh yes, history is something that the children are getting in school today as I got it. When I went to school, I went to a segregated school, but our teachers told us about every race there was, where they lived, their culture, what they did, what they ate, and all of that. When at the end of school, at the end of the year of school, we would dress, fix food, and everything just like these different countries, the different classes, and we would imitate them so that we would know them when we saw them and get to meet them. And we were taught not to dislike them. In Jacksonville, Florida, where I lived, there were Afro-Cubans, Greeks, Italians, and Jewish people with the Afro-Americans. And there were such beautiful people that they would share their holidays with us, we would share our holidays with them. Now, since they integrated, there's nothing left. All the businesses and hotels and whatnot, schools and things of black people are all gone. So I don't know what they're going to do, I don't know. Because the young people today just don't seem to want to fight for these things, or they don't know how, or they're scared, I don't know what. But I'm hoping that they will put history back where it belongs, because the young people need to be taught about the history of this country from the beginning to the end. Not just a little bit once a year, what they state on the calendar, what day. They need to learn about the people, who they are, what they did, and what they're doing in this country, and what they're doing in their country. Right now, all the countries that need help, the one who stands out, as I can see from the news on television and papers, is America. They're sending food, clothing, and everything else, for not only for the disaster things that happen here to our people here in the States, but to other countries. Yet still, these countries are saying, hate America. For what? What did America do to them? Nothing. Not in the sense that they are saying hate America, because we need the help we need here for the storms and things that our people went through. And the people that was over there where the waterways from the hurricanes and the earthquakes and things, our people over there, they're helping them, they're doing what they can to them. Still and all, they're killing them. For what? To say they were taught that, oh, if you kill them, you'll go to heaven. What assurances they got that that would be them? So that is nonsense. So I'm saying to all young people, look at life the way it is. Try to be kind to those. My mother taught me that you are black and you know it. If a white person come up and spit on you, wipe it off and keep going. If they hit you and run, turn around and run and fall down, turn around and go back and pick them up and say, you're a human being. I'll help you up, and then go on about your business. That's the way I was taught, and hopefully that's the way things will be again. But the schools need to teach these children the history about these other countries, not just a little bit, but all of it, and tell them not to hate, but to care, because that's the only thing that's going to save us. And something else you want to ask me?
Yes, you a member of any veterans organizations?
Yes, I'm the only female veteran of 1861 Post, American Legion Post 1861 here in Newcastle. So, hopefully. And I also belong to the National Association of Black Military Women, which we started. And we have gone around, this is our 15th year for reunions in different states, because President Clinton gave us a citation. And he said, go to the different states, let them know what you people have done, how you helped this country and all. And that's what we've been doing. And this coming year, hopefully, if I'm still alive, we're going to have a reunion in Kansas City, Missouri, in September of 2006, September through October 2006. So I'm hoping that the other women, it doesn't matter what race you are, to join our organization, because we're trying to get this information where it belongs, in the history books, in the schools, that the children will learn and know who helped to keep this country free, who helped to keep the things that they're enjoying now, that they have to get in there and do it, because we're all getting older, and we're dying, leaving this world, and they need to get in there and not to say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, because they can't. Save what this country is all about. This is the only country that will allow you to say something about your president and don't get locked up or beat up. So, if you want to be a president or whatever, do the good things, no matter what. We've had some bad ones, we had some good ones, but keep going and do the best thing that you can do.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I have oh boy, I can't think of anything else you want to ask me. I've run my mouth off and jumped from place to place that I don't know who, how, what, when.
Well, you've told me quite a bit about what you've done, and thank you for sharing your story with us. And I'm very glad. You seem to be very positive about all this, in spite of problems you've run across all through your life.
I don't feel that I'm poor in the sense, as long as I'm able to do something, as little as I got, if I can share it with someone else to make them happy, make them feel good, I feel like, my mother said, you're rich if you can do that. And that's the way I feel about life. And I just feel like I want to share. I don't feel I was born to do nothing in this world. I was born to help others and to help myself as well, and feel good about what I do, because that is what I was born for. I don't think I was born to just sit around and enjoy what somebody else gives me and what somebody else do for me. And that's the way I feel about life. And hopefully, I only have my daughter. I thought she was going to bury me, but I buried her. And my 2 grandsons, and I got 1 great-granddaughter. And fortunately, I hope she'll remember me. She's a bright little girl, 8 years old, going to be 9. She won't let you talk slang to her. And if you say, like you know what, and she'll say, what you mean, like you know what, if you haven't told me how I'm supposed to know what, you know what. Speak English to me. Speak American English to me. So I'm hoping that that's what will happen, that the schools will not spend money on teachers to teach a child their language in school, when they should be spending it on the computers. And because when I grew up, it was an agriculture country. Now it's computers and all of that. And the farms are gone down. They need to start remembering the people, so we don't have to get our farm stuff all right from other countries. It's a help to them too, but not to the extent that it's going to hurt us. Start looking at things. Don't look at money to go out and have a good time or use dope or nothing like that. But to make this one of the greatest countries there is, because there's no country is going to change their language for anybody who comes. So let's not do this. This country is just as important and as much of a country as any other, England, France, or any others. So let's keep it America. Let it stay as it is. America. Thank God it's American. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now. So I don't know. There's a lot I could say, but I don't know how to say it right now. I just want to say that young people, look around you, fight for what is right. And when you go to Virginia, outside of Washington, look at the Women's Memorial. You'll see women of all races and what they did and how they did to save this country. Learn what you can to learn to keep this country free. America needs to speak English, American English. Help the fight for that. Don't let this country become another anybody's country. Let it remain American. God bless America.
Thank you very much for allowing me to interview you.